Welcome to another episode of the Coffee Conversation Show powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Series is The Emerging Professional. Theme is From Sketch Maven to AI Visionary. We have with us Mike Todasco, a visionary at the intersection of artificial intelligence, innovation, and creativity. As a visiting fellow at SDSU, James Silberrad Brown Center for AI, Mike explores how generative tools are reshaping industries and democratizing technology. With a career spanning product management, entrepreneurship, and innovation leadership at PayPal, he has continuously pushed the boundaries of what's possible. So, friends, this is an international coffee episode, and we are fortunate enough to have someone, AI visionary. So, lots of conversation will be woven around how AI is helping the world and humanity at large. So, welcome, Mike, to today's coffee conversation.
Mayor, no, thanks for having me. Excited to have a nice, fun coffee conversation here. It is very early where I'm at, so I could definitely use that coffee.
Okay, cool. Okay, so friends, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation and the legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. So my first question for a professional journey round, Mike, how has a role at SDSU as a visiting fellow shaped your approach to innovation?
Well, has it shaped my approach to innovation? So look, I mean, background, I came from corporate innovation, moving into San Diego State. I ran the innovation group at PayPal for many years. Moving to San Diego State, it's different time scales you're working on in the corporate environment versus a university environment. Look, things move slower. I'm just gonna say, like in a university, things move slower. Um, and from an innovation perspective, that's not always a bad thing. And that's probably one thing that I learned being at San Diego State and just being part of more of a university environment is that, there are plenty of innovative things that need time, that need thought, that just, it isn't about building a product and having 2 week sprint cycles and all this other kind of stuff that you might have in a software or a corporate environment. So I think, the one thing I have a much deeper appreciation for as far as innovation goes, being at the university is taking your time, longer time can often be okay and leads to bigger things down the road.
Wow. So now let's get in conversation. What do you see as the most significant impact of generative AI tools like ChatGPT on creativity?
It's the best partner you could possibly have for brainstorming, for ideation, for thinking of new business ideas, for working through a problem, whatever you want. And I say the best partner you could have in part because it's super cheap. Like, you could buy these tools full service for very little, relatively speaking, every month. And it's always available. It's there 24 hours a day. Heck, you can even, download Meta's Llama model, open source model. You could put it on your phone and you could access it on airplane mode when you're flying over the ocean. And there's a real advantage of just having data always at your fingertips, like, at the ready to help you out with whatever problem you have. I feel jealous because like when I was running the innovation group at PayPal, we didn't have these tools.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
so I left in 2022, a good 6 months before ChatGPT. Like, there was stuff we did with GPT-3 that, there were things that existed out there. It wasn't to the level we have today. It wasn't the user interface we have today or anything like that. So, I would love from an innovation standpoint, if I'm an entrepreneur, if I'm starting a company, like these are going to be my thought partners that I'm going to be using all the time to just think through difficult problems again and again and again. And that's the really exciting thing. There's many things they do well. There's many things they don't do well. The one thing they really do well is give you, 50 ideas to, better spark your business. And then it's your job to go through there and say, okay, of these 50 ideas, what are the three that actually have value that I want to then go deeper into?
Wow. Okay. So now, Mike, I'm a little curious. Uh,
Mhm.
your transition from finance and accounting to becoming an AI advisor. Why did you choose AI after your PayPal journey ended?
Yeah, it's because it was the thing I was most excited about. I mean, that's the true answer. So when I left PayPal, I mean, so running the innovation group there, I got exposed to a lot of emerging technologies. We explored things on augmented reality. We, had a whole blockchain group that spun out and continues to exist today. And obviously in machine learning and artificial intelligence, there was a lot. The thing that excited me most about AI at that time, this would have been summer of 2022, was that I'm not an engineer. And for me, I was now able to use these tools. I used to get demos and, do things and see development all the time of things engineers were building, machine learning engineers were building within PayPal using, various machine learning techniques. And I was always in awe. I was kind of a little bit starstruck almost by those and what they were able to create. And, my first time, I remember vividly my first time working with GPT-3. It was on a writing project I was doing, and like it was continuing my thoughts. It was like writing out this story with me, and it wasn't very good, but it was still like amazing to at least see a computer doing that. We're like, and I'm just prompting it in real English to do that. And that was clear to me, like, this is different. This is a complete step change to where where we have been, where we're at. Vast majority of people on Earth are not engineers. And so to give those tools to people was really eye-opening for me. So that summer, frankly, people were not like, again, I didn't know what I was going to do post PayPal. I really didn't. That summer, like Dolly 2 was released. There was so much going on. One of the GPT-3 was being updated, and nobody was really
Yeah.
talking about it. And so honestly, like it was just, I was like, this is crazy. Why is no one talking about this? This is world changing. So I think August 2022, I wrote the first article I wrote was called the one technology that everyone should be freaking out about, because I was freaking out. I'm like in positive and negative ways. I was freaking out, and so that led to doing more in the space, kind of being an evangelist and working with companies, and then getting connected to a university. All as part of that. And then ChatGPT came out a few months later, and then everybody was freaking out about it. So I was like, so, I still do the writing, but I don't feel I have to tell people, hey, world, I do it in different ways now than I did that summer.
Wow. Okay. Which aspect of ChatGPT are you liking the most?
I love the voice. The voice interaction is amazing. They just put Santa Claus on there, in fact, for the holidays. So, like, I was talking to Santa Claus the other day, which was confusing to me because I thought it was just the voice of Santa Claus, but it's also more limiting because I was asking like medical questions to Santa Claus, and like it couldn't do that. Basically, Santa told me like, "Hey, you got to switch voices. I'm not meant to do that." But the advanced voice mode in ChatGPT is extremely impressive. I have gone for 30, 45-minute walks just talking to it. I've used it
Mhm.
as a brainstorming partner. So I've literally said, hey, I'm just going to start talking about book ideas and things like that out loud. I'll ask you questions. But basically, what I want you to do is I want you to capture all my notes. I want you to answer questions when I ask them, and I want you to summarize it at the end of this conversation. And it was able to do that. It was able to do that like amazingly well. I use it in the car with my kids. So if we're driving to school, we just put it on the speakers, and if it, my daughter has like a US history test coming up, I could actually
Mhm.
say, hey, ChatGPT, let's quiz my daughter. She's in fifth grade. She's studying this, this, and this in U.S. history. Ask her a series of progressively more difficult questions and give feedback if she doesn't get it right. And like it'll just quiz in the car, and like it does all of these things. The limits of these tools are unbound. You can do whatever you want with them, and voice mode is a great unlock, I feel, to just show so much more. The thing I'm excited about next is more of like the screen capture, where like it'll literally be watching yours. You install the app, it'll watch your screen as you're typing, as you're surfing the web, as you're doing all of that stuff. And then it will be able to, add context, help you out. Like, hey, you're trying to do this on GitHub. You might want to do this instead. It might be able to interject. Like that's, the next step that's just on the horizon for us.
Wow, beautiful. So I checked your profile, and you did recently a workshop uh, on book writing and publication using AI. So
Oh
can you give
yeah.
us yeah? So how was experience and learning, and what are the participants' feedback?
So, Amir, you said you wrote 15 books. Is that right? Did I catch that in the beginning?
Yeah, yeah.
So I guarantee you every single one of those books is better than what the AI wrote. I want to be very clear. So people should go buy, I mean, your books out there. Don't buy my AI books, although they are available in India and across the world on Amazon. I publish under the pen name Alex Irons. So AI Alex Irons is the actual pen name for that. And in those the books, I have been doing these since 2022, where I will just let the AI write. Usually, I will give it a topic, so I will start it off with a prompt and do that. So the session I just did was actually on a podcast where we're talking about writing and so forth, and we're using the new ChatGPT o1 model, I think is what we use. I can't even get the name straight for the models. And had that model kind of write an outline, kind of write a detail like a character guide, write more about the tone and voice that it wants to use, and then actually start writing the book. So those are kind of the 4 steps that I prompted it through. And it did it. And we did it live in a podcast so people could see the whole creation of this and all that. And look, in the end, it does it produce a book? Yeah. Is it a good book? Not really. Is it a better book than what it was producing in 2022? Yes. Yes, it actually is. So we are seeing progression. I don't think, look, I write books by myself, non-AI books. And these are things that I love to write and I love to work on. And I do love the craft of this. We may get to a day where we're reading AI books, but that doesn't mean that human books are going to go away because there is a personal connection that we have to other humans that is special. That means something. Like certain author, like it's going to be more meaningful for an author to get to know their readers ultimately, because having even some Twitter connection or just some connection like that will make you want to read that, understand, want to know their thoughts more than just the thoughts of the collective intelligence of an artificial intelligence system. So yeah, I do this as an experiment. I donate all the money to charity that I do make. But I will say there's not a lot of money being made on this. Like, I would love to say the charity is getting rich off of this, but unfortunately they're not.
I'm learning from you, okay, how book writing with your lesson revision with your daughter, so many new things you day in, day out using ChatGPT for not only for work but for the creative purposes. Uh, so you will have to revise your daughter's lessons. ChatGPT does the work, and your daughter is prepared for her. What do you say? The next class, whatever
Yeah.
quiz, whatever assignments, so many things. So that is saving your time. So
Yeah.
beautiful. as a parent?
Well, absolutely. It's saving time. One of the things that I love most about this, and this is something I hope teachers start doing. So if there are any teachers watching this, please, please, please try this. I think for something like math, math is a subject that I learned to love at a young age, large part because I love sports. And sports, specifically baseball in the United States, was a sport that I loved to watch. Very similar to cricket for folks, and not as long of games, though. Not as long of games, I will say. Um, but there's a lot of statistics that go with it. So I used to get these cardboard baseball cards and they had all these numbers on the back. And that's how I learned how to do math when I was a young kid. Because I would look at these and like, wow, what are these secrets that like these cards hold? And for every kid, like there's an unlock. And it might not be sports, it might be something else. But like, what is it that you're passionate about? And if I were teaching mathematics, I would, at the beginning of the school year, I would take all the kids. I would ask them, like, what are your pets' names? What are your best friends? What are the things that you like to do the most on the weekend? Blah, blah, blah. I'd ask all these questions. Probably do it with a code name, so it's not your actual name going into large language model, just to be privacy concern. And then I would just have, if I have 30 kids in my class, I would have ChatGPT make 30 different homework assignments, all at the same level. Give me an answer key for each of them. And that would be the homework that they would get. And every kid would have a more personalized experience as part of that. And that would be awesome. And maybe if kid number 3 is struggling more with this one, you give them a couple more of that. And
Yeah.
I mean, so the level of mass customization that AI is going to enable, that is where the real unlock is. I think we all need to question when we do things where everybody has been seeing the same thing. How would we benefit if you had infinite time and a resource to help you out in an infinite amount of ways and iterations to give everyone a custom experience? So that's just for teachers, but in your business how can you be doing this more for customers or whatever? Like think through those things because the constraints we used to have are gone or going to be gone very soon, enabled in a way to do that.
Wow. Okay, my next question. How do you foresee the future of generative AI in industries like healthcare or entrepreneurship?
I've talked a little bit about entrepreneurship. I'm happy to go deeper, but let's talk about healthcare for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Oh,
I, I have my own custom GPT with all of my healthcare data in it. I don't share that with anybody. And this was a personal choice I made to do that. Like some people are not comfortable doing that. I totally respect that. For me, the potential loss of data and the loss of information or getting it hacked or whatever it might be, the benefit I get outweighed that. And that's how I made that decision. So I upload blood tests, MRIs, DEXA scan, like a full body scan. I get all of these things. What are my goals? What are my all this other kind of stuff? Any health data I have, I put in there. So if something goes wrong with me, I go into that thing first and foremost, and I just start asking it questions. Sometimes I'll take a picture. I'm like, hey, there's a weird thing on my arm. What is this? And it's like, if your blood levels were down, we would say this, but like we know this about you and blah blah blah. Like it'll give me entire answers for that. Uh, and that's amazing because like in the United States, like I'm 47 years old and I will see my actual doctor combined time 15, 20 minutes this entire year, something like that. Like you don't have a lot of time with doctors here. Like it's in and out, it's super fast. Unless you're really sick, they don't really build relationships, and that's just how it works here. So when
yeah.
they have hundreds and hundreds of patients, they can't know every detail about you, but the AI can. And the real unlock is going to come when the doctor then has access to my GPT, where they can actually see all that. And then in the conversation, we can work through that. Believe me, I would much rather have a doctor just like sitting on my couch behind me at all times of the day, ready to answer any medical question I have. That's not the best use of the doctor's time, and that's not financially feasible. A close second to that is building out this GPT that I spend, $20 per month on for my whole Chat GPT subscription and do that. And to me, that is one of the great unlocks coming in medicine. And this is not even getting into, new drug discovery. What, Google and the DeepMind team are finding with protein folding and AlphaFold. And like, there's so much more that is going to come on the AI side of things. Just from a pure consumer application side, there is so much today that you can do with that. It's changed my health and how I think of things, at least over the last year since I've been doing that.
Okay. So my next question will be, what will the next revolution happening in AI and ChatGPT, according to you?
The next revolution? Um, hmm. I think the next revolution, it's a great question. I mean, I like the word revolution of what's going on, like, because we haven't seen a revolution with this yet. It hasn't happened. I'm reading a book right now on AI. The title's totally escaping me, else I'd give the author credits. But it's talking about the parallels between electricity and artificial intelligence. And
Mhm.
between kind of the discovery of electricity, being able to harness that, and to the point where, at least in the United States, it was in 50% of households. This was a long time period. And it kind of walks through all the steps and says, is AI going through something similar, although probably on a much quicker time scale? Most people are not using the tools that exist today to their fullest ability, in part because they don't know how, they don't know why, they don't have all the ideas. And a lot of it is just like figuring stuff out and sharing it. That's why I do podcasts, because I want to be able to share the ways that I use these tools with other people. Ideally, I want to hear back from others that are listening and watching this and say like, oh, that's a cool idea. Did you ever think about this? And like, oh my gosh, I never did. And that's how we're all going to learn and get better with these as a society. So look, you're going to have bigger models. You're going to have, video capabilities, and the videos are going to be able to do more and more. You're going to have voice becoming more precise. It's going to be integrated into all the experiences that you're currently working with. I mean, if you're online, AI and generative AI, if it's not already behind the scenes, it will be behind the scenes very soon. But I think the big unlock to this is really when people start to embrace it more and figure it out. Once you do that, once you see one unlock in your life, you start to see all these other ones. A good friend of mine, he's starting a business, and and I don't say this disparagingly, but like, he's not in the technology world or anything like that. He's up on technology. He knows how to use a computer and all that, but like, he's not an engineer or anything, but like, he's in the last week, he's just been sending me text messages and saying like, good God, I didn't know ChatGPT could do this. I didn't know it could do this. Like, I just did this with my wife, and like, again and again and again, thing after thing after thing is coming out that he's seeing this. And we're all going to go through that. We're all going to
Yeah.
experience something like that. And for everybody, the problem again is there's infinite possibilities that you can produce with these GPTs. So for some people, it's a little bit hard to find out, well, where do I get started? And what I always say to people is just find a problem in your life. Like for me, like cooking was one of the great unlocks. I'm a bad cook. I work from home, so I'm usually the one who's preparing dinner at night. And it was a huge unlock because I found out, oh my gosh, I can put all of my family's eating preferences in there. I can tell it
Mhm.
how I like to prepare. I only want one pan. I'm not worried about the budget. Let's, minimize the ingredients. I don't want much cleanup or anything like that. And then at the end of every meal, we're going to give you feedback on a 10-point scale of how much everybody individually liked that. It's known as reinforcement learning with human feedback. And we built this up, and you know what? It makes awesome recipes now. It's been able to kind of coordinate all the, because I only the other rule in the Todasco household is we just make food once in there. I'm not making different things for different people. Like, we're all eating from the same thing for the four of us. But it's amazing. And for me, that was a huge unlock with using these. And again, medical is another one. Everybody will start to find that unlock. And when people do, that is the revolution that we're going to see. Uh, Honestly, I don't care if the tools never improve from today. If the tools never improve from today, we're still going to see so much benefit, so much change in our world and our society. It's just up to each of us individually to kind of catch up to where the tools are already at.
Wow. Okay. So, Mike, if you could collaborate with any AI pioneer, past or present, who would it be?
Wow. I think the stuff that Fei Li out of Stanford is doing right now with world building is fascinating. She is the, I think, godmother of AI is what she's often called. I don't know what she is. I apologize. She's amazing. Her AI book was one of my top AI book picks of the year. The Worlds I See, I think is what it was called. I'm sorry if I'm getting the title wrong. She seems pretty incredible. And so I think to work with her and her team would just be amazing. And because I actually think that there is a huge opportunity in front of us for world building. And what I mean by that, like specifically, and look, this is for anybody who's an entrepreneur looking for a AI business that's going to have huge impact in the next 5 years. The large language models today have basically scraped the internet. They got just about everything that is on there. Are there some marginal improvements? Absolutely. Where the real opportunity lies, in my mind, is the 99.9% of the world that is not on the internet. Most of our life, most of our interactions, most of all these other things that we do not happen online. And, to give one very simple example, this was something I wrote about a year ago where my daughter was eating a burrito, like a Mexican burrito. She was eating it, and there was kind of she was at a point where there was kind of a U in the burrito at the top. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I took a picture of it and I labeled it A, B, and C, the top, the bottom, and then the top of that. And I asked the AI, what part of the burrito should she eat next? So I asked the AI, and I actually repeated that like 100 times, and I used different AI models to do it. And then I interviewed humans. I went on like Mechanical Turk or some service like that. I said, hey, human, what part of the burrito are you going to eat next? A, B, C. That's all they had to do, was answer A, B, C. The AI, 95% of the time, said B. They're going to eat the bottom of that U. The human being who's eaten a lot of burritos before or not eaten burritos, well, they said A or C. Because they know if you just keep like smushing your face in the middle of the burrito, it's going to fall apart. Like it doesn't work. And we intuitively know that. We're like, yeah, well, of course you're going to eat the sides and then go back in the middle and eat the sides. Like we know how to do that. The AI has absolutely no idea how to eat a burrito. And again, that's a sort of a childish way to do, but like multiply that by the millions of other things, the little things that we do in our life. And for all these companies trying to achieve, artificial general intelligence, that's where a huge opportunity lies. Is like defining all of these other micro tasks, as you will, and having an AI think more like a human as part of that. Even how I write is not how I talk. And it is definitely even how I talk is not how I think. There's all these disconnects. So we want AI to think like a human. There's all these other things we have to start to put together as part of that. So I think there's a big opportunity out there for people who are doing, trying to make models of the world more broadly and seeing what they could do with that.
Oh, okay, that's very interesting. So now, Mike, what key advice would you offer entrepreneurs looking to leverage AI in their businesses?
Yeah, so I give this piece of feedback all the time. So if you are a business owner or if you run a team, let's say you're just a leader at some sort of company, the first thing you need to do is you just need to give your employees access to this. So go ahead and buy a ChatGPT enterprise subscription, a Anthropic, Claude Enterprise, whatever it is. Just buy one. It's $20 a month in the US. It's various prices all over the world. Just spend the money and actually buy it. Give them a tool that you're going to allow them to use, that you don't have to worry about data leakage or anything like that, and set the rules and parameters on that. That's step one. Step two is you encourage them to use it. So there's now no excuse for them not to use ChatGPT or whatever it is, because they have it at their fingertips. You're paying for it. What I would then do is I would set up a Teams or a Slack or whatever way you use to communicate, and I would set up a channel just for like AI tests, AI projects, or whatever you want to call it. And this is where you're just going to learn from each other about that. So you're going to encourage people to post things and say like, hey, I did this and this was really cool. And the third thing that I would do, and this is me, I've done this with a team before, not with AI, but with other things. I would then have people go in and on a weekly, let's say I have a weekly staff meeting with my direct reports. And let's just say I have 10 people on my team. I would each and every week at the beginning of the staff meeting, I would cold call on one person on my team. And I would say, hey, I want you to tell me one thing that you did with AI in the past week, personally or professionally. I don't care. Like, just tell me one thing that you did. First week, I would do it myself, just to set an example, not freaking anyone out. But what you would do with that, just that very simple thing, is that you are going to have your employees think about things in an AI first fashion. They're going to be thinking about it in their personal life. They're going to be thinking about it in their professional life. It is going to start to change the habits that they have already created using Google or whatever else, and they're going to start to look at things a different way. And you know what? The first week or two, they might be a little bit nervous sharing things. But again, it doesn't matter how big or how small it is. It's just that they used AI in some way and they're going to share it with the team. I guarantee by the third week of you doing this, you're going to actually have people raising your hand in your meeting. Say like, actually, I have another one. Could I share that? And like, then you're going to start to create this culture within the team that is AI first. And that's all you need to do. Once people realize what these things can do, and what they can do for them. Because again, these are tools. Artificial intelligence, the term, it's not a separate being. These are tools for you to use and to work more effectively. This is no different than the internet in 1998. There were so many people saying the internet's not going to work. It's not effective. It's just for universities. How am I ever going to use this in my life? Why do I need email? All of these other kind of things. People fought and fought and fought against it. I'm old enough to have remembered that. We're seeing the same thing here. And frankly, this is going to be more impactful. And it's just the sooner people embrace it, the more effective they're going to be with it.
Wow. So today I was reading an article of HBR on AI policy, how to implement AI in companies, like how you've been sharing now. My question is for HR person, this question will be, your answer will be guiding the HR persons, how
Mhm.
to frame AI policy for employees to use ChatGPT for their work in the company, according to
So I'm going to
you.
look at from a few different corporate perspectives. That's a good question. I mean, I'm going to not only I want to look at from an HR perspective, but let's look at from like a security perspective as well.
Yeah.
So I think
Yep.
those, similar in some ways. From an HR perspective, like this is, so I'm at university, so we have this for students. Like we have an AI policy of how you're allowed to use AI, how not you're not allowed to use AI. I think it is actually important for companies to do that. And I think for most companies, you need to be as open as possible to the policies of people using AI at your companies. Um, and here's the thing, like how you want them to produce the best work, and I think it's necessarily a question how. If they're using AI tools, you should let them do that. With the one exception, which I'm going to get to the security side of things. You don't want to use these tools in a way that is going to have sensitive data potentially leak outside your company. Just how, I wouldn't use my personal email to send a bunch of company information to someone else. I would use my company's email address. Similar to that, like you should be using the company's enterprise version of an AI system to do that versus your personal ChatGPT account or whatever you might be using. And so on the security side, that's the first thing you need to figure out. Like, and that's why you, frankly, as a company, need to spend for the enterprise tool. Most companies are already using cloud services. So, like, you're using Google or Amazon or Microsoft Cloud in some way. These are just kind of fold in, so, and I just give that analogy with you're already comfortable sharing some of your data with these providers. And I know there's a wall, all that. Supposedly they're treating the AI stuff in a similar way to that. They're not using it for training and all that. I think, if you're trusting Amazon with your cloud services, you should trust Amazon with their AI services as well. I don't see the difference there. So, once you figured out that security thing, and then going back to the HR policy, okay, so you can kind of do anything you want with it as long as it's using our own AI tools. Or you could use other AI tools, like maybe you don't have a image generation tool tied to it. Maybe it's more about text generation. But if somebody wants to use Grok, the X.AI image generation, which is really good, or Midjourney to generate images, okay, that's fine. Like that's fine to do that. So you need to just kind of define what that policy is. So it's really an exercise between HR and security of working together to define that for a company. But it's important to define and then just clearly communicate. And obviously, if you don't do this, your employees are going to be using AI anyway. So all the more reason for you to get it under control, especially for the security people, get it under control and get it under control now.
Wow. Very good. Yes, very true. So this article helped me to get you to ask you this question. So thanks to HBR, my gratitude. Okay, let's go back to memory down lane. What's a memorable anecdote from your days at Sketch Maven, Mike?
So Sketch Maven for folks. So this was after I got my MBA. While everyone was getting consulting jobs and all that, I'm like, I'm going to just start my own business. Spend all this time and money and going to school. Why not just start my own thing? And the thesis I had in 2009 when I started this was that collectibles, so things that are being sold, and specifically Sketch Maven was for artwork, specifically comic book related artwork, was vastly underserved by things like eBay. And the thought was, I could spin out all of these micro collectibles websites using kind of the same architecture, and effectively then and it's going to serve collectors better. That was the thesis I had. So I started with comic art, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I'm actually, and I'm going to see her for the holidays coming up soon. So my sister-in-law, I was talking to her one time about it. And I said to her, boy, I'm having a hard time with my website because it's getting hacked. Like my website's getting hacked. I don't know what I'm doing with this thing. It's a disaster. Like I'm having to roll it back. I'm not an engineer. I have some engineers. I don't even know if they're doing good work. This has been really frustrating the last few months. And she said to me, she was like, well, Mike, maybe that's good news. Maybe that means your website's popular enough to actually be hacked. And that reframing that she gave me was such a beautiful way to think of things. That is the one memory I have of Sketch Maven was my sister, who's she's actually a teacher at a university. Her perspective was like, well, if you're getting hacked a bunch, you're probably doing something right. Because if nobody cared about your website, then you wouldn't be hacked. So that was my most memorable thing. The website does not exist today. I eventually closed it up, and that's when I started working for PayPal. But that was one of my more memorable memories of it.
Okay. Now let's go to your next journey at PayPal. Can you share a defining moment during a time at PayPal that influenced your career trajectory?
Oh, yeah. It was, one, getting hired at PayPal because I shouldn't have been hired there. My entire interview at PayPal was talking about all the ways I failed at Sketch Maven. It was like 6 hours of just stories of like, yeah, I screwed this up. Yeah, I screwed this up. Yeah, I screwed this up. And of course, the learnings that came from that. And I was very open and candid. And like, they shouldn't have hired me, but I think they frankly appreciate just how open I was and like how I was just focused on learning and all that. And, versus really just bragging of like, oh, yeah, the site was great. Like, no, if the site was great, I wouldn't have been there. But it was an amazing experience. And look, I'm glad it went the way it did. The thing that really set me up in my career at PayPal was a product that an engineer was working on in his spare time called PayPal Beacon. And what it was it was a little piece of hardware. So almost imagine like, like a little pen looking thing. And it was using what was Bluetooth 4.0 technology. That was a new standard at the time where Bluetooth could now passively talk to devices. You didn't have to like manually connect. And the unlock from that was like, so you can have a merchant who had this piece of hardware in a store. You could walk in with your phone, and then these two things could talk to each other, and you don't even take your phone out of your pocket or your purse. It could check you into the store. It could make an automatic payment. It could order your favorite tea or latte if you set it up beforehand, and literally you don't even need to touch your phone. So this was 2013. Super revolutionary technology. And the one meeting I had, I was the product launch manager for that. And I was loving it. I was so excited, passionate. I had a lawyer reach out to me from PayPal, sat down, and I always took these lawyer meetings. I'm like, oh, great, another lawyer meeting. This is not going to be fun. And all of a sudden, lawyer just sat me down. He's like, well, what else can you do with it? What else can you do with it? Could you do this? Could you do that? He's just asking all these open-ended questions. And it was like a half hour. It was the most fun I think I ever had in a meeting. And I'm like, what is this? He's like, oh yeah, this is like all for patents and so forth. We want to know what's possible. What are the limitations? I'm like, you could do this? And so that led me down what became this innovation path that I went down in the company. So, we filed a few patents for what we were building because it really was revolutionary new technology. But even after the PayPal Beacon failed, and it did fail, I just continued to do this. I continued to have these sessions again and again and again to the point where, 3 years later, I was actually running the innovation group at the company because a large part of it was actually building patent portfolio. So it was that product, it was that meeting that really set me up for, frankly, where I'm at today, because I love thinking about the future. I love thinking about what could be possible. I love asking all these crazy questions about what you might be able to do. And that's what, at least that world of patents that I first got introduced to very much is.
Wow. So my next question is related to patents. With over
Yeah.
100 patents to your name, what drives your passion for innovation and invention?
Boy, what drives my passion for innovation and invention? I love I just love to create from ether something that just wasn't there before. This is also why I love to write, just truly. Like, I love to just write because I have thoughts. It forces me to be creative. And, I write for humor. I write about AI. I write a whole bunch of different types of things. And it is just creating something from nothing and introducing that to the world. So in the world of patents, I love to just think about whatever's possible. And a patent, almost by a definition, is something that really nobody's ever even thought of before. Because it's an idea. It's not an implementation. It's an idea. And I always like to separate those two things. So to create an idea that's like new to the world and so forth is super exciting. And it's, I think, something that's innately human. We are innovative creatures. That is how we got to where we are in society. That is how we got to air conditioning and heat and skyscrapers and elevators, and all of these things that we've created to create our modern world came from somebody who was like, hey, why can't we do this? Why can't we do this? And all these gains and gains and gains we've made as a society. And I think with patents, that's just one little tiny way of participating in that process.
Wow. So, Mike, how's your perspective on innovation evolved over the years?
Sorry, say that again. How is what an innovation evolved over the
How
years?
has your perspective on
My
innovation
perspective.
evolved over the years?
Yeah. Okay. So my perspective on innovation. Look, I talked about in the beginning that I think innovation was much shorter cycle, and now I'm a little bit more focused on the long term of that. Uh,
Mm.
I think this isn't how I've evolved, but this is how one thing I truly believe, and that still holds true. And maybe I just have more conviction today, but we're all innovators. And so the whole story that I told you about how people on their team should do this, like with AI and cold call people, that actually started with a team I was managing at PayPal before I was doing the innovation job that I had there, where I actually cold called on my team, and because I wanted them to talk about one creative or innovative thing that they did over the past week. And that's the original story of what I just told you and I suggested here. So I had this team and I felt a good part of their job should be to be creative and innovative. And I remember when I took on the team, I asked everybody on the team, do you think of yourself as an innovative person? Half said yes, half said no. And it became my mission for those half that said no, I wanted them to see the innovation that relied within themselves. And so that's why at every meeting, I would start off and say, hey, um, employee X, tell me something you've done in the past week that was creative. And the kind of things that they would come up with were, I had one person on my team who had lived in LA before and he moved up here. He talked about how he cut through the airport that was near the PayPal office to get to our office. I'm like, what? You cut through the airport? Like, how does that work out? Like, he's like, yeah, I did this. I'm like, that's pretty innovative. That's creative. Another person talked about how somebody wasn't coming to their meetings. They needed them at their meeting. And so they indirectly bribed them by finding out what their favorite food was. They found out, and then they like had that catered to the event. They're like, Mike, can I expense this? I'm like, of course you can expense it. Spend $20 on donuts and have that. And you know what? That person's, and then they changed the invite saying, hey, now featuring the special kind of donuts. That person started showing up to those meetings. And like, that person could have went to their manager, could have complained. No, they used donuts. And like, that is such an innovative way of thinking. And these are all little examples of that. But like, that was one thing. Again, I believe that even at PayPal, when I ran the innovation group, our slogan was everyone can innovate. I mean, it was about every single person in the company. We have this in us. Like it is in our DNA as human beings to create new things and so forth. And so like that is just one thing that has been a through line. And I think maybe just more and more, I believe this as I've continued my career. We are all innovators at heart. I think just there are things that stop us from innovating, be it process, being embarrassed, being whatever. And our job as leaders, wherever innovation is important, to remove those barriers so people can be the naturally innovative people that they actually are.
Ah. So my last question for your professional journey round: how do you mentor or inspire the next generation of innovators?
Um, it's small wins. It's really, it just comes up from small wins on that. Like I said, I think for the next generation of innovators, like I would say to people, just build stuff. Use AI to help you too. If you are passionate, find your passion, whatever it is. Let's just say your passion is video games. Great.
Mhm.
Well, instead of just creating video games, how about start building video games? And we're like, well, Mike, I don't know how to code. It doesn't matter. So, like this summer, I was writing AI pieces about movies. So, like 2001, Her, Metropolis, all of these AI related movies over the years. And so I wrote pieces on each. I also decided over the summer, I'm going to make a video game about all these. So for each one of those things, I would work with, I think I was using Claude at the time, and I would say like, hey, Claude, let's make a video game. The games were playable. Like actually anybody can click on the articles now and you could see the game in there and you could play it. It's on GitHub and all that. I even learned how to upload things to GitHub, which I'd never done before. So like I learned how to do all this stuff. And you know what? It's all marginal gains at that. Like if I was really passionate about this, I could take that very basic game that'll keep you entertained for 30 seconds and say, okay, well, how do I improve it to make it entertaining for minutes? How do I make it entertaining for 2 minutes? And three. And that is how you inspire the next generation of innovators. Just start real small. start with something that they are passionate about. And just like lean into that passion and just start to build and create.
Wow. So let's go to the next round, the personal journey round, and understand Mike as a person. Share about your family and your formative years, Mike.
Oh, my family and my formative years. So I was an only child. So my parents were together. They're still together today. They actually live. I grew up in Chicago, in the middle of the United States. I live now in California on the coast, and they actually moved out here when our first child was born. And like I grew up. I played a lot of soccer. I I the one thing I think I was always creative and just innovate. Like one thing I loved to do was I actually, it's funny, I'm in a garage now because when I was a kid, my parents bought a video recorder, an 8 millimeter video recorder, and my friends and I would take that and we would film ourselves in the garage almost every time we could and made a TV show called Garage Talk. It wasn't, and it's funny, I still have these tapes. And, there's actually a couple moments I'm like, oh gosh, that was actually pretty funny for a 10-year-old to come up with that line. And a lot of it's like, pretty cringy, as you can imagine. Um, but it was always about creation. And that was a real special thing. Creation. And then like there was always a business side to me too. I started selling baseball card collectibles at a very young age. And that's why I think I was inspired to create a collectibles marketplace. I eventually paid for my own college doing that, became a mail order business, eventually started selling online when that became available. And so like creativity and business were sort of always my things growing up.
Wow. Okay. So, Mike, how do you unwind or recharge after a demanding work day?
So right behind me there, I don't know, Amir, if you could see that, that's a sauna back there. So I have a sauna I bought from this place called Costco and assembled it myself. Almost killed myself assembling the darn thing. It says it takes two people to assemble it. I didn't believe it, and like, oh, it actually takes two people to assemble that. But yeah, no, that's one of the best things that I do. I'll heat it up. I'll go in there for about 25 minutes. I will bring in a book. Oh yeah. Before this, I just turn off all my devices. So devices are off around 9 o'clock in my house, like pretty much no exception. Like they're done for the day. Go in there with a book, read, sweat like crazy. Take a shower after that. And within 10, 15 minutes, I'm so exhausted. I just fall straight asleep. So sauna really helps me wind down.
Wow. Okay. What's a hobby or activity you have recently picked up and enjoyed the most?
So I recently started ice skating. I haven't ice skated since I was in college. I mean, I was never good, but I started doing that. And the proof is that I have this on my hand. So I'm not good at stopping yet. So this is just a sprain. It's not a break, but that's why I actually have this on my hand now. Is because about a month ago I picked up ice skating and I took a pretty hard fall on Friday, but I'll be fine and I'll be back out there in a couple of weeks. And eventually I'm going to learn how to stop so I don't just stop by doing a spin in the air and then landing on the ice like that.
Wow. Okay. Mike, what life lesson has stayed with you from your time in the finance industry?
Wow, great question. A life lesson from the finance industry. Um, I'm gonna take so when I was studying finance in school, there's a kind of corporate finance, but I also took a class on personal finance. And personal finance was the area that I always gravitated to the point where even when I was doing corporate finance, I actually went to a college and was teaching a class in personal finance, meaning like what to do with your money and all that kind of stuff. I just loved teaching that. I loved explaining that to people. And I think the best lesson that I took away from that, and maybe applies to corporate world too, but like money is a tool unlike anything else. Like computers are a tool, AI is a tool, money is a tool as well. You should never worship it. Don't get too obsessed with it. There's a great book out there called Die with Zero, which I think actually espouses many things for people to learn. And like, especially in the United States, like people have the most money like right before they die. What the heck are they going to do with it? If you're going to give it to your kids, give it to your kids when they're younger. Just like we're so obsessed with that money should just be treated as a tool, not unlike any other tools, an extremely important tool, but a tool nonetheless.
Wow. Okay, Mike, how do you balance professional responsibilities with personal pursuits?
Um, I try to manage my calendar as much as possible. My wife and I have a shared calendar. She has a very busy schedule. So like that's how we like manage in our household. And like literally one of the things that we do is every Sunday night, my wife, my kids, and I all sit down. I put my phone up on the big monitor in front of us and everything. And we just go through our calendar for the week. And that is like, and literally, so every day, okay, Monday, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Like, everybody aligned? Are we missing anything here? Okay, let's go to Tuesday. And we start doing that. And that is just a way for like just everyone to be on the same page. We do that on a weekly
Wow.
basis. And it sounds so corporate and nerdy, but it's actually super, super helpful for us to just make sure that we're doing the important things. We do have to put those personal things on there. I put ice skating on there because that's actually important to me to do that ice skate. So like that's on my calendar. I block time for that because if you're not prioritizing that on your calendar, it's not going to work.
So that's a beautiful tip you have shared out there. Sit together and plan the calendar, family calendar, which includes everything.
Yeah,
Children know about you. Where are you? You know where are your children, and everything is perfectly in sync. Wow, beautiful tip you have, and
absolutely.
everyone is together.
Yeah. And like honestly, family, the kids are 11 and 13 right now. There's a lot of activity, a lot of things going on, but like that way, there's no surprises during the week then.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, what inspired you to write about your experience in rhyme, Mike?
My profile rhyme? That oh my gosh, great question. So anybody goes on my LinkedIn page, you will see that my my bio is a very unusual bio that I have right up top, because it is a rhyme. And because Amir, I was doing a lot of talks and people would just read my bio. And it was the same thing, and I wrote it. And when I was doing this is back when I was at PayPal. So at some point, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so sick of hearing the exact same things about me. So I'm like, well, let's make it fun. Let's make it interesting. So I changed it to this rhyme. And my favorite experience was one time I was on stage, I can't remember where. Someone was introducing me, and I'm like, and she's like, where's your bio? She's like, oh, this is your bio? She's like, oh, okay. She wrapped it. Like she did an amazing job. Like was I was so impressed. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe she's actually doing this. So like that entirely there, like having my bio wrapped by somebody who was really darn good, who I was not expecting to have that ability or be able to do that at all. She did it in front of the crowd, and like I'm like, wow, this is a great way to start a talk. So that's how I got that on there.
Very interesting. And you have got a lot of, you see, interesting stories, which I believe we'll have to have continue conversation with another topic on after in the for 2025. There are a lot of
Absolutely. Look, like
modules.
I mean, I love the questions you're asking. You're making me think about stuff that I haven't thought about in a long time. Great questions. This has been
Thank you.
really
Thank
exciting.
you. Love it.
Like,
Love it. Love it. Okay. How has my creative thinking influenced your life?
how's creative thinking influenced my life? Hmm. Look, I think it it just makes you assess things a little bit differently than that. If nothing else, it's good for people to know, and I try and teach this with my kids. Like, there's always a third option. Like I think too often in life we just think, well, it's A or B, it's black or white. that's almost never the case. There's always a third option out there. And if people would take a step back and just kind of think like, okay, well, what else can I do? Like, what is it I'm truly trying to achieve? What else? A lot of creativity is just asking good questions. And if you ask yourself the right questions, you're going to see, oh, there's more options. And maybe like where, A and B don't see like good options, maybe like F or G or Z could be something they're like, oh, wow, that's actually amazing. That's way better than what I had initially. So I think that's one thing that, I try and do with creative thinking. And more importantly, I try and very much teach with my own kids, like that there's always more out there.
Wow. Okay. A serious question. What legacy would you like to leave behind, Mike?
I mean, like I'm torn on this. Like part of me is like, well, I just want to be dust and just buried in the ground and just like go back to the earth and a few generations people are going to forget about me. And then of course there's always the self-centered side. I'm like, well, no, I want to be remembered for 500 years and blah 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 and all this other kind of stuff. And like I don't know where I land. I really don't. I think the one thing from a legacy perspective, I do hope that I'm able to write some things that are timeless and will last well beyond me. And that even if people forget about me, that my writings or the contributions I make to that will be so. I'm working on 3 children's books right now, which will be released in fall of 2026. So it is I'm working with the publisher, like already got first drafts for some of them in. So this is going to be a little while before they actually come out to the world, but it's, something I'm very proud and excited about. And, and I think going down that path is something, is maybe how I can leave my legacy, whatever that would mean. Just get some writings that were going to be useful to people 100 years from now.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Mike, this is a month of Christmas, and we want to dedicate this episode to Christmas. So, a message from your side to all our viewers and your family, your friends, your relatives.
Oh my gosh. Here's the thing, especially for folks in the U.S. Like yes, Christmas is a Christian holiday, but in the United States, it's become so much more than that. It is just a time where people of all backgrounds get together and celebrate each other. It's just a time to just celebrate family, celebrate love, and like what I would say to anybody out there, just love each other. Just hug somebody a little bit tighter. Just know that the fact that we're all going around, the sun and like that we're on this big rock together, like it's pretty freaking awesome. It is pretty amazing. Stop, reflect about that. Just no matter where you're at in life, if you're healthy, if you're unhealthy, if you got lots of money, if you don't, like wherever you're at, like you're here. And I hope everyone can just like step back, be gracious for that, and be gracious for any of those people that are around you that love you. So yes,
Wow.
that's what I would say
Beautiful,
this
beautiful,
Christmas
sir.
to everyone.
So, my last question, which will be a googly one, describe Mike in one line.
Um, always a student, always a student, and I would actually stop it there. Like I love learning. I love learning from people. I love people like you, Amir, who force me to think about things in a completely different way. That for that like I always be a student. Yeah, and I am now. I am actually in school as a student in addition going to university. Like I think I'm going to be like 90 years old and I'm still going to be getting degrees and stuff. So I hope that's me
Wow.
from yeah.
Beautiful. Now, let's have some fun. The rapid fire round.
Nice.
Favorite innovation of the decade.
Sorry, repeat that again.
Favorite innovation of the decade.
Favorite innovate? Oh, ChatGPT. Or yeah, I mean, yes, definitely.
Okay. Um, you did recommend to aspiring innovators.
Man, sorry. I forgot what to recommend to aspiring innovators.
You did recommend to aspiring innovators.
A, a book?
Yeah.
Oh, a book. Sorry. Anything by Stephen Johnson. Steven Johnson's great. Yeah, any of his works, he's written, I think, several innovation books. Go with his.
Wow. Morning jog or evening walk?
Oh God, both. I do about 20,000 steps a day, so I walk a lot. So I could not just do one. I will probably go for a walk right after we're done here, in fact. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful. Favorite place from your hometown?
Wait, favorite meal from
Place
my
from your
favorite.
hometown.
I got that. Sorry, the beginning's cutting off. Favorite what from the hometown?
Favorite place from your
Oh, favorite
hometown.
place. Place. Sorry. Yeah. Favorite place from my hometown. Oh my gosh. I grew up in a town called Bloomingdale, Illinois, and my favorite place has probably been the sand volleyball courts. I love playing sand volleyball.
Wow. Wow. Okay. A song on repeat.
Well, right now it's probably the whole Sia Christmas album, which usually
Wow.
starting November 1st, we play a lot in the car. It is the only, good gosh, do I have it here? No, I don't have it here. Like literally, I was like, I actually think I had the full record, in fact. So yeah, and if you want one song, I'd say Candy Cane Lane. It's a banger.
Beautiful, beautiful. A quote you live by.
Quote that I live by. Oh gosh. I literally have a whole thing of quotes that I have. Uh um uh, wow, I have no idea. I got lots of quotes. You're gonna have to come back to me on that one for round two.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna have to
That's
think
why
of
I
that
said
one.
that we have to have another conversation and the journey continues. Now, all our coffee speakers are part of the coffee tribe community.
Oh, that's
So
great. Look, sorry. Yeah.
we what we do is the bond enriches and you all become very closer to all the team, me, and that's why all are coffee speakers. That's why we now call you as a coffee tribe community member then.
Well, I love it. And look, for folks out there, like I love to help out. I love to have these kind of conversations. And to anybody out there in the community, anybody who's watching this, if I can help you all out, don't hesitate. Let me know what I can do
Thank
for
you.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
My last rapid fire question. Food you can't resist.
A food that I can't resist. Um, Peanut butter. Like like to the point where we can't
Okay.
have it in the house. If we had it in the house, I would eat it all. Yeah.
Wow. So you did very well and you will get this book as a Christmas gift.
Oh,
Uh,
thank
I,
you.
I'll message you on LinkedIn to share your details and it will be delivered to you. I'll autograph it. So it will be ye memories from my side to you. So,
Wonderful.
friends, this was a lovely conversation in the month of December, Christmas month. So, a lot of insights Mike has shared. So, all the fans, AI fans out there who are adopting or keen on adopting AI in their personal lives, in their work lives. So, this is the episode where Mike, as an AI visionary, has shared a lot of insights, how he's using AI for different aspects of his personal life, for work, how he is helping everyone through AI, his journey there is a second earlier journey of being an innovator. He's very passionate. He's got 100 patents in his name and to be remembered by. And wonderful to appreciate. Okay, every Sunday they sit together, plan out the family calendar so everyone is on one page as one family unit. So, viewers out there, please watch this episode. Like this, there are many other uh, insights Mike has shared, and he. I personally had a lovely time having a conversation with Mike. So, friends, the Coffee Corner Show on YouTube channel has got over 300 plus episodes uh, with different subject experts and topics. Subscribe to our channel. You will get to learn, get inspired, and if you want to be featured like Mike, visit our website, theemergingindiaforum.com, fill in the form or our social media handles, or you can ask one of your friends to refer to you. like how Mike has been referred by Esther to come on this show and share his conversation over a cup of coffee. So stay safe, and we meet with another coffee speaker. Thank you.